Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 389, recorded live on July 11th in the morning, the wee morning Pacific time. I'm your host, Shamgar. With me this week, we have some great guests from Ravenloft and the co-host of Players News, Draculetta.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me again, Patrick.
Yeah, welcome back. Although I realize now that I need to get Pine Leaf on the show because I've had you on twice. But anyways, that's for something else. Also with us this week, the most important person in any party, Lessah from Cocktail Hour and Damsel DDO.
You know, until you said that, I had forgotten that I was mad at you, so thanks for the reminder. Thanks for having me, Patrick.
Welcome back. That dig was played just for laughs, just for the record. I love Lessah. Lessah's awesome.
Yay.
This week's screenshot, things get a little bit silly in Delaire's tomb in the 230th screenshot of the week. I'm guessing they were bored waiting for the gate to go up because it's in that room. Good use of time. You know, you got 500 turbo points out of that. So we like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can watch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, and our website, DDOCast.com. DDOcast is hosted by Cyber the awesome podcast hosting network. Shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show, I haven't quite figured out when it's going to be. We need to hear back from some guests to see what's going to go on there. But you can stay updated by following us on social media pages or our website, DDOcast.com. We have a little calendar, Google Calendar you can check out, which has store sales and special events that are going on. It also has DDO Splat times on there and show times on there. Although, fair warning, some of them are placeholders. Sometimes they move. But I try and put that information out there as best as I am able so people can keep track of that. On the podcast, I was going to mention too, I know people really like the video, just so that I don't get any emails about it, but I'm the only one who would do video on this show, so I'm not doing video on this show, which will be a fairly common thing, I think, going forward, because I'm not using Google Hangouts anymore. I'm using Skype via Twitch, which I like a little better and is a little more convenient in most ways. But if I'm the only one who would do video, it doesn't really work very as well as Google Hangouts in that regard. So you get to stare at this lovely picture from Hork Chop this week. In any case, that's out of the way. On the podcast this week, upcoming XP changes. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about update 27 on Lemania, and I think I just tweeted update 29 for some reason. It's early. And we're also going to talk about some pro tips for surviving conventions, which is what we're going to start with. It's convention season. Gen Con is the end of this month, I believe. Drac, I'm sure, has a date off the top of his head.
July 31st, or July 30th, sorry.
Yeah. And PAX Prime is August 28th. There are so many other conventions. Comic-Con actually is this weekend, which I only really know about because someone in my Facebook feed is there and is going nuts, which is awesome. There's other conventions, local conventions you might be at. There's the big conventions, of course. But we're just going to talk about generically conventions. We're not going to talk about anyone necessarily specific, although we might bring them in as reference. But we didn't do one last year, and it's been kind of a tradition to do something on conventions and going to conventions and stuff like that. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to start by talking about before you even leave, before you get to the convention, what are some things that you should do? And just to start it off, we'll talk about getting tickets. And I'm going to link an article that was actually in today's local newspaper for me from the Seattle Times on battling ticket bots. They just outlawed or just banned, made illegal ticket bots in Washington. But what are some tips you guys have for actually getting your tickets to go to the convention?
Go first, Jack.
Well, with Gen Con, it's not as major of a deal as for other conventions. because I don't even think they really limit Gen Con tickets. I've never seen them actually say Gen Con has ever sold out. So just Gen Con is my big convention that I go to. I mean, I have gone to a couple of others, but that's the one that I go to the most. So everything I talk about, I'm going to be coming from the mindset of Gen Con. And the only, I guess, thing about Gen Con that tickets you have to worry about is ticket for events. Those are the ones that they do limit. And with that, my only tip is just to, as soon as the tickets go on sale, make sure you have your queue ready to go and they're in your cart and hit buy as soon as you can and just hope that it goes through. That's the only way to do
That
it.
is a nightmare.
It is. It is
But
a nightmare.
okay, I'm really glad that you have this thing first and that this article first, because it's never just buying a ticket for the convention. That part is easy. The hard part is, where am I going to stay? How am I going to get there? And because the closer that you want to stay to your convention, one, the more expensive it's going to be, and two, the harder it is going to be to get a hotel room. I know that if you're not Johnny on the, I use Gen Con as my go-to example for this. If you're not Johnny on the spot, whenever housing opens up, and this is 6 months in advance, you're not going to get to stay where you want to stay. And it's going to be a huge ordeal. And later on, if something opens up, you're going to end up paying through the nose because you're not booking through the convention, what they call the housing block or whatever. They give you like this special link or a special number or whatever that you type in, and you go and you book your hotel room. For me, that is the most stressful part, is where am I going to stay and how am I going to get there? Because a lot of this stuff, even if you end up not being able to go later on, you're going to end up eating quite a bit of money's worth of tickets, depending on how far away you live. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense. But I think the earlier you do this, the better. Like, for example, this year, my spouse took the day off from work, which for my spouse is a huge deal. He took the day off from work so that we could make sure to get our tickets and make sure to get our hotel room. And it was the most, and we barely got in. I mean, it seems like it's hit and miss every year. We went to Dragon Con one year in Atlanta, and we went through the exact same drama with hotel rooms. So I think it's the closer you want to stay to your convention, I think the worse that drama is going to be. So the earlier you have to try and get in. This isn't a thing that's like, oh, the week before you decide to go to this convention, you're going to this convention months in advance. You already know. It's not nothing's a surprise.
For Gen Con and for Dragon Con, are you getting your hotel rooms before you're even getting your tickets to the actual convention, or
No. It works like this. It goes badges, and then the next day you're booking your hotel room, and then depending on how far in advance they're letting you get the badge.
Okay.
So as soon as I know I have a badge, then I know that I can get my hotel room, and then the rest of the stuff, everything after that, is gravy. Because getting a flight is a lot easier, especially as early as you end up having to book your hotel room. Getting a flight is a lot easier than trying to get that hotel room. The important thing is, especially if you don't want to commute back and forth, and I've done both. I've done the, hey, let's stay in a cheaper hotel and commute, and I've done the, hey, let's really try to get like an attached hotel. A hotel that's sponsoring my convention, which is way better. It's more expensive, but it's way, way better
I
because
will back that up.
Parking is not, no.
Yeah, no, exactly.
No.
Just
But
no.
the year that I did that, the year that I drove, I mean, we're talking, if you don't get in at a certain time to the parking lot, that forget it. You spend 45 minutes looking for a parking space, and then it's not even close. Forget it. No, you've just wasted a portion of your gaming day, and maybe you've wasted and maybe you're late for one of your events because you're messing around parking. No, how much is this really worth to you? Go stay in the hotel that is attached. So
I will say, as an aside to that, if you do some research from the town you're going to go into, and I've done this for, I didn't actually have to plan this, but I've been at like youth group camp convention type stuff. Stayed at hotels that are on a public transit line.
Oh, yeah.
Not a bus. I mean, you can do it with a bus, but I think if there's a rail line, that's going to be a lot more.
Like an elevator train or whatever.
Yeah, an elevated train, a light rail, something of that nature that doesn't have to fight traffic. They have a right-of-way thing. If you can get in a hotel that's a little farther out and therefore cheaper, but is on that rail line that will drop you off at or near the convention center, or wherever the event is being held, that can be a really good option as well. But the key there is you're using something that's not going to have to fight traffic. It has a right of way, and it's close and reliable. So those can be options. And you can probably, I think in some places you can even buy like day or weekend passes for stuff like that too, depending on the rail system. But you might want to do some research there. But yeah, I would say I don't go to a lot of conventions, but I occasionally work at conventions. And when I do, it's typically on the outside of things. So I show up at the end of the day when everyone's still there, but they haven't left yet. But they are starting to filter out, so you have to fight pedestrian traffic and find parking, and it's kind of lousy. Not gonna lie. I usually try and take the bus if I can for that kind of stuff, but it doesn't always happen that way. So yeah, there's some tips for getting tickets. So there's something else I wanted to say on that, and I can't remember if there was. Go ahead.
There was something else that I'm going to say that you should think about well before you go to the convention. And like, say you have your hotel, you have your plane if you need it, you have your tickets to the con itself. You should think about, and I'm pretty sure Lessah will back me up when I say this, you should really think about getting yourself ready for the convention. And what I mean by that is all the walking you're going to do.
Yes.
I highly, highly suggest at least a month or so before you start walking at least 20 or 30 minutes a day, or just get yourself used to standing if you're not used to standing a lot during the day, because you will be surprised at how much you are going to walk when you're at whatever convention that you're at.
Yeah. 100% backing you up here, man. 1 to 2 miles is a good rule of thumb. You need to be able to walk comfortably, and it's this. We're not setting any land speed records here. We're talking about walking through a crowded convention. But if you aren't prepared to walk 1 to 2 miles a day for however many days you're going to be there, and the last thing you want to ruin your fun is your body betraying you by saying, no, we're not going here. I'm sore. No, now I'm cranky. Now I'm tired. Well, great. Vacation ruined. Forget it. Let's go home now.
And keep in mind, you might not be ruining just your vacation, but if you're traveling with other people,
exactly,
or
you're going to ruin their good time too.
You might also ruin the vacation of some. You might make somebody else that you don't even know cranky. Yeah. You ruin their vacation.
You're going to ruin some stranger's vacation.
And then they're going to ruin someone else, and pretty soon the whole convention vacation is ruined.
Exactly. One bad apple.
But you would be surprised how many people do not think about that, I don't think.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, as not that I'm stereotyping any gamers here, but, we're not the most active group of people per se. So once
not the most active, not the most social.
Yeah. So once you
not
start
the most
walking
hygienic.
around,
yeah.
So that's just really something you need to think about. Trust me, you will.
This is not the time to break in new shoes.
Yeah.
This is the time for breaking in new shoes is over. Yeah.
Get comfortable shoes that you know you can stand in and walk in for long periods of time.
Yep.
I was actually thinking earlier when we were talking about the hotels, and I bet you conventions that are like fit geeks and like marathon runners and stuff. I bet you that those people don't have hotel problems because they all
sure.
spread out.
The first year, I saw that there's a section here for Jerry. I don't see him on the podcast. The first year that I actually got to meet Jerry, he was and this is when I was staying in a hotel that wasn't attached. It was way out, and he was like, "Oh, I'll give you a ride after the DDO party. I'll give you a lift." And he had parked something like over a mile away because he's really cheap, and he wanted to park in this really cheap parking lot. So we went on basically a forced road march. Like, I had already like 5 beers or whatever, and I'm like, I did not feel like walking anywhere. So, but still, we had to walk all the way to his car, and he walks fast.
That's probably something else to consider too.
And then I couldn't remember where my hotel was. So he had to drive around for like 45 minutes. It was awesome. He has never forgiven me.
In fairness, you got him back. You got him back for making you walk a mile.
I did.
And that's something to consider too. I think we should mention, if you are one to enjoy libations and cocktails after in the evenings, you may not want somewhere that's far away.
Yeah.
For your own health and enjoyment issues, and also for legality reasons. Please don't drink and drive. That's bad. But so just keep that in mind. So next, we're still going to talk about before we even laugh. We haven't laughed yet. What are some things that are easy to miss? I don't want to talk about budget, but specifically, what are things that are easy to miss that you might forget to budget for? And just kind of maybe some general tips on budgeting in general.
I would say the biggest thing is you're going to be walking around the actual show floor, and you're going to be demoing games, and you might decide you want to buy that game. You may or may not have planned on spending X amount for a new game. So that's one thing you should probably just make sure you have a little extra in whatever you budgeted for just like a spur of the moment purchase. And maybe it's not a game, maybe it's a T-shirt that you see or what have you, because there's all sorts of things in the dealer hall that as soon as you walk in there, everything is just going to be screaming, "Buy me, buy me, buy me."
Yep. And so you're not just budgeting for money, you're budgeting for space. Unless you drove there, you're budgeting for space in your suitcase, that stuff that needs to go back with you whenever you fly home. So you have to think about that too.
Good thing to think about. Have you ever shipped something home?
Yes, actually, this last time, because one of the classes that I ended up doing with my daughter was it was called steampunk, make a steampunk hat. So I had this ridiculous top hat that I made because I leveled up in crafting in real life, right? And I didn't have any way to get it home, so I had to mail it to myself, and it was so convenient. Bam, right there, in the lobbies of a lot of these hotels, they have these mail places or whatever. Not like mail where you can get a dude, but mail where you can ship stuff. So I know that I see what you were thinking, so I was just clearing that air, Patrick.
You think I'm thinking this early in the morning?
Yeah.
That's quite nice of you to say. Yeah, I know a lot of people are kind of generally where I've been umpiring a lot this week, and it's been really hot here, so my brain's been baking in the sun. It's great. Yeah. So would you say that you maybe think about if you are someone who likes to buy lots of stuff, and you're not going to have suitcase space, you might consider budgeting a little bit for mailing all your fancy stuff home, or pack light is another way to do it, and bring a big suitcase back. I'd say these days too, be aware that most airlines are charging bag fees for carry-ons these days. So that's something to keep in mind. You might want to balance the costs there and do a little research. Anything else that you guys can think of in terms of budgeting?
If you're driving yourself, a thing that you really need to look is parking. We kind of alluded to it earlier, but parking is really expensive.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
So that's something you need
It's
to...
a hidden cost that'll come back and bite you later.
Yeah, you might save $30 a night on your hotel and spend an extra $40 a day parking, assuming you don't move your car
Easily, yep. It depends, like at Gen Con, there's certain places that are a little cheaper to park, but usually parking's anywhere between $20 to $25 a day.
I would say
that's something you have to consider.
If you are someone who is not the thriftiest of spender, you might consider there's a budgeting trick where you use envelopes to put. Generally, it's people will use it for like their actual home budget for everything. But if you want to like be really tight with your money and kind of control what you're spending, what you can do is get a bunch of envelopes and then write down what the money that's in that envelope is for. So you can put things like buying, a food envelope or a swag envelope or game envelope or what this, that, or the other thing. I would say if you're going to do this, make sure you have one that's just a general fund envelope that you can pull for things you weren't expecting that do crop up, or maybe you want to go over a little bit in one area or the other. But that way, every time you spend money for a specific purpose, you're pulling it out of an envelope, and you can see how much more of your budget you have left. Now, this means you have to operate in cash, which there are some risks in that, because if cash gets stolen, it's a lot harder to replace than if you're, for a credit card. So just be generally aware of that. I haven't ever really heard of pickpocketing being a problem at a convention, but it's something that I would be aware of personally. And if that's a concern for you, you can actually get. They have them for like travelers, the little pouches that you can put stuff in, so you don't get pickpocketed. So that's also an option as well.
I hadn't even thought about that. Good looking out, Patrick.
The pouch or the envelopes?
Yeah. Thought about other of those things. Always expect food to cost twice as much as you think it's going to cost. And what I like to do is just sort of graze throughout the day and really just save my big budget for one decent meal a day. One decent meal a day that I know that it's gonna hurt a little bit whenever I pay for it. But everything else is just as I find it, whatever. Granola bars. What my daughter likes to do whenever we do these conventions is that she'll pack a box of an unopened box of cereal in her suitcase, and then she takes it with her. Whenever she feels like a snack, she just grabs a handful of cereal, and that is her go-to comfort thing. And then we'll go and have dinner, or we'll go and have a late lunch or whatever, and then that'll be it for the day. It's great.
Good way to do it. So I want to talk about packing. What are some things that are commonly left at home that you forget to pack?
Phone charger or charger for your camera, any type of chargers that you'll need. I think that's something a lot of people will overlook, and then once you're there, it's like, oh, crap, I forgot my charger.
I'd say pack that in your go bag, too.
Mm-hmm, yep. And then on the same line with that, I would say if you just have like a regular camera that you're taking that just takes regular batteries, make sure you have plenty of extra batteries. It's probably going to be cheaper to buy them at home than it's going to be to buy them anywhere there, I would say.
Just use your camera phone. It'll be fine. Phone charger, use your camera phone. You're good.
Well, yeah,
You're
but see,
good.
but what...
You don't want to carry too much.
What are you going to do when your phone dies, though?
Charge it at lunch.
That's why you're going to charge it in the evening whenever you're back at your hotel, and make sure you're charged up for the day, and then go out and
If you're my sister, I don't care how much charge your phone has. It's not lasting
gonna
the day.
it's not, you're gonna run out of batteries pretty quick.
I love my sister for the record, but she as I said, take your charger on your go bag, and even if it's not like far down if you stop and are eating somewhere, if you're able to, stop somewhere that has a plug nearby that you can charge it at.
So you like to carry your little backpack that's got the granola bar and the water in it, and
partly because of my
other-
work, I'm a go bag kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a bag. It's not a purse because it's a bag.
It's a man bag.
It's a man purse.
Bag.
It's a man bag.
But I have one for when I go do various work calls and stuff. I have currently 3 different go bags.
Wow.
4 if you count the one that hasn't moved since I stopped playing pen and paper. I had a go bag for pen and paper too. But so that I would put a phone charger in there, just sort of if I stop moving somewhere and have a phone charger. Now, I'm going to say this for 2 reasons. One, because there was a certain individual that you may have heard about in the news, in the offbeat kind of news. There was someone who went to see a Broadway show and got up on stage before the show and went to plug his phone in on the stage. So before you plug in somewhere, unless it's a wall outlet, if there's a power strip on a table or something, ask the operator if you can charge there. I know a lot of, from working in the industry, I know a lot of guys that work small room, like your breakout rooms, and where you can have sessions and stuff like that, will oftentimes set up a power strip specifically for people to charge their phones. But you can generally ask those guys politely and say, hey, do you have somewhere I can charge my phone? And if they do, they will let you do that. But don't just randomly plug your phone into different outlets unless it's like a static wall outlet that is pretty obvious that it's something that you can use for. Just a pro tip on that. All right, anything else you guys can think of before we leave for the convention? I'm going to take this as a no. So, when you get to the convention, wow, these things tend to be pretty big. Now what are you going to do? What are some tips for while you're actually at the convention?
You want to go first, Lessah?
Oh, okay. I was waiting. Because I think this is where Drac and I part ways in our opinions. Because or unless he's a do as I say, not as I do kind of guy. Because I like to get there the day before. Especially if it's a convention where it's a schedule or where it's something in line for, like a panel or something like that, and you don't want to miss it. And it's kind of a first come, first serve kind of thing. I like to get there the day before so that I can see I can get the lay of the land. I can pick up any packets or swag that's coming to me with that. I don't want to have to worry about the next day. I can kind of get a feel for everything, get settled into the hotel. Because I'm not like you. I don't do the go bag anymore. I stay in an attached hotel. I don't want to carry a darn thing. I don't carry anything. I just want to walk around. That's it.
Isn't that what your kids are for?
Make them carry the go bag. That's a good idea.
Give them the fancy title of Sherpa.
Sherpa.
And then let them figure out what that means.
Yeah. Just for me, it's just getting a feel for the place and making sure that I'm ready. Because whenever the convention starts, I already know what I'm doing. I already have my agenda. So, what about you, Drac?
I actually kind of agree with you a little bit on that. You definitely want to try
Then
to
how come you're not arriving on Wednesday instead of Thursday? What the heck is wrong with you?
It's because that real life thing gets in the way.
Dang it!
Yeah, and don't like Patrick said, you're going to get there, and if it's like your first. I remember my first Gen Con I went to. I about passed out at it was just like it was so much, it was so big, there were so many people, there were so many things to do. Just try to take a deep breath and don't let it overwhelm you, because it's, trust me, if it's your first year there, it's going to overwhelm you, but it will be okay. It really will. My suggestion is, if you don't have anything scheduled like panels or games or anything that you're doing, just walk around, and like if you can't go the day before, like Lessah said, just walk around and get the feel for everything. Just find out, okay, like the dealer hall is here. Most of the seminars are happening in these rooms or this hall or whatever.
These bathrooms don't have long lines.
Right, exactly. I was going to bring that up, and learn where the bathrooms are. That's very, very important.
Not just where the bathrooms, which ones don't have long lines.
Coffee, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then as for the dealer hall itself, I would say my suggestion for that is just walk through it once to just take it in. Don't really concentrate on what you're seeing. Just walk around and just let it all bombard you. And then make a second trip through, and then you can, like, if you want to find, this company's booth, then you can look at the map, and then you can specifically go to that booth to check that out. Or if you're thinking about, okay, I know this game has just come out and they should have it at this booth, so then go and do that. Don't try to make your purchase, or don't go specifically to one booth the first time through the actual dealer hall. Because I made that mistake my first year that I went, and it was just a nightmare because I was just totally lost. I was confused. It was too much. There was too many people, and I didn't get what I wanted. I can't even remember what it was now, but there was something that came out my first Gen Con I went to, and I didn't get it because I couldn't find the booth, and it was just a nightmare. So just learn the lay of the land, and there's always, at the entrances to the hall, there is always maps. It's kind of like the mall maps, like, you were here. And they have maps like that there. They actually have them in all the hotels as well, because it's really spread out. Even all the surrounding hotels have events in them. And, of course, you have your program book that has maps, and that can help you. And usually the staff of whatever convention you're at, they are usually super friendly people, and they always have tables, and they always have people standing around. If you need help, just go up to one of those friendly people and ask them, and they will be more than happy to help you.
I would say that regarding staff, and I have found this to be true in many different forms and situations, but I guarantee you, the more polite you are to them, the more happy with the result you will be.
You can draw more flies with honey than you can with vinegar. I think that's what he's trying to say.
Well, something to that effect. I mean, if you, I have this particular. I was coming home from a convention, and my flight got canceled. Not because of anything there, but there was we were in St. Louis. There was a big snowstorm or something, and actually, I can't remember. I can't remember if it was Dallas or Denver, but one of those two, like, main hub for an airport had, like, almost all their flights canceled. So that, with the flights, that caused a ripple effect, and I got on the phone to reschedule my flight because I was still in college at the time, and I was traveling with a couple other people, and we had classes like the next day or whatever, and I just kind of made a conscious decision when I got on the phone to talk to someone to reschedule that, I'm kind of having a lousy morning. I only have to reschedule 3 people on flights. Whoever I get on the other end of this line is having a worse day than me, because they're probably doing this like, they're dealing with people that are really upset. So I was, like, cheery and polite and tried to be the best possible customer she would ever have to deal with that morning. And lo and behold, we got a direct flight. We had originally had a transfer. We got in an hour before we were supposed to get in before our flight got canceled. So I think that was more fluke than necessarily my positive attitude about it. But she definitely was more helpful than she was required to be, and I think having a positive attitude about that probably helped. So
Very good. Speaking of staff, if you have young people and or irresponsible people who are with you, take a moment to figure out where the lost and found is, because they're going to lose their badge and you will have to go there in order to either get it back or get it replaced. Or you'll have to go there to find them because, lost and found. So that
can be
it
a
happens.
Are
It
you trying to
happens.
say you lost one of your kids? Is that
I've
what you're
never
saying?
lost a kid at a convention.
Okay, that's good.
knock on wood. I would say the one,
Not going to happen.
if you are someone who, again, this kind of goes back to a little bit of the budgeting thing, but if you are someone who is a bit of a free spender, and particularly if you haven't been to a convention before, like Drac was saying, walk the whole floor, don't buy anything. What you might consider doing is have a little scratch paper or a notepad and a pencil or a pen in your back pocket.
Exactly.
And go through the convention, go through the floor once, at least once, and anything you see that you want to buy, don't buy it. Write down how much it cost, and then take a few, walk around the convention, maybe during a meal break or something to that effect, or a rest break, so you're sitting down, take a few moments and prioritize what do you want to go and buy. Maybe you can buy it all if it's in your budget. Maybe you can't, and you can make some choices as opposed to being a what do they call it? When you just buy things off the cuff.
Impulse buy?
Yeah, impulse buyer. So try and stay away from doing that.
And that's really hard to do at times, but that is a really good tip right there, is don't just buy stuff left and right, because if you do, you're going to be out of money within probably 20 minutes of being there. And
It's easy to spend money. It's hard not to.
Like 3 days left of the convention and you have no money because you just blew it all on whatever you just bought. So
Leave it in the room. If you really don't want to spend it, leave the credit card in the most hotel rooms, they give you a little safe or whatever. Leave it all. Just lock it up. Give yourself a budget for that day or whatever in cash and go. That's the only way I could keep from doing it. I have no control. But if I demo a game, I automatically want to buy it. So it's very dangerous for me to demo a game.
and
Becomes a spatial issue in the suitcase. To get it back somehow.
another thing too that goes along with the convention being big is don't try to overextend yourself. In theory, you could schedule something that you could do every hour of every day. But don't do that. Only schedule like maybe a few things in the morning, and then leave like an hour or two in the afternoon open where you can just walk around, or you can, go back to your hotel room and take a nap if you want to rest, or just, walk around. But that's the thing. That's my big tip, I think, is don't try to overextend yourself. Don't schedule yourself for too many games. And you have to remember, too, if you schedule a game that's in, let's say, Hall A, and then that game ends at noon, and then your next event starts at 12:30, but that's in Hall F, you got to remember you have to get from Hall A to Hall F. And sometimes it's not as close as what it sounds like. So remember to plan a little space in between your events, just so you'll be able to, get a drink, grab something to eat if you want, and get to your next event.
Yep.
And keep in mind, too,
Plus, you want to be able to walk around and take pictures of all the cosplayers, right? So
Right,
that.
exactly.
Keep in mind when you're looking at how far you have to go, don't just think about think about like your morning commute or my morning commute. You don't look at it and say, oh, I just need to go from here to there. It's this far. I can go at this speed. That's how long it's going to take. No, there's congestion. Plan on congestion. It's not going to be a clear path there. Something to keep in mind. I was looking for something, so I might have missed someone talking about this, but you were saying you don't want to schedule something for the whole day. I know both of you have opinions on how many times you should eat, how much you should sleep, and how many times you should shower in a day.
I say it every single time we do a show about a convention. I say the same exact thing. If you want people to be around you and not hate you, you need to take one shower, you need to get 4 hours of sleep, and you need to have one meal a day at a minimum. It doesn't mean that is what you do and that you don't do anything else. If you need more than that, do more than that. But that is the bare minimum if you want your friends to remain your friends after the convention is over. So I don't know what Drac does, but that's my rule.
I do what I call the 3-2-1 rule. And that is 3 hours of sleep, 2 meals, and 1 shower. And that's a bare minimum.
Now, is that for the whole convention, or is that...
One shower for the whole convention, and that's in the sink, like
that is
at a
daily. Daily
with a couple paper towels. Pat, 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 pat. Oh, I'm good to go.
I'm good to go. Let's go. No, yeah, seriously, 3 hours of sleep a day, 2 meals, and 1 shower every day. Some people are more comfortable with more sleep. If you think you need, say, 4 hours of sleep a night or 5 hours of sleep a night, you know yourself. Just the key is kind of what, mirroring what Lessah said. The key is you're trying not to make it worse for anybody you're with and the other 40 to 50,000 people that are there. Remember, you're going to have a lot of people crammed into tight spaces, and if
everybody
you're
stinks.
Tired,
just give up. Everyone stinks. It's fine. It's fine.
Deodorant, it's your friend. Carry it with you.
Don't you stink, but everybody else is going to smell just awful. And that's life. That's your life for 4 days. If you want to have fun, you're going to have to go and get with the smelly people.
So I'm going to throw in some tips here. First off, maybe do a little grooming if you need to. For one, it makes you look more presentable and approachable. Two, I think and I'm not trying to be mean or stereotypical, but the average idea of a gamer is a little unkempt, and anything we can do to make that less that would be better. Let's see. Drink lots of water. I know Drac has this and put some notes in there, but I have found more often than not, if I have a headache, it's probably because I'm not drinking enough water. You probably don't want to buy water there, but bring a water bottle. I particularly, this is a little. I know I just said don't buy water, but what I like to do is occasionally I'll end up buying a bottle of water, but I'll keep that disposable water bottle and reuse them. Because then when I lose that water bottle, I don't care. It was a disposable one in the first place, so I haven't lost a Nalgene or something like that.
Yeah. A lot of these hotels that you'll check into for conventions will have a water bottle conveniently located in your room. Don't drink it. Don't do it.
So don't even touch it.
Don't do it. That water bottle gonna cost you $20. Forget it. No.
Once you touch that, it goes out that sensor.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Don't even get me started on the minibar. Don't get in a weak moment getting that minibar.
I would also say, as you are thinking about meals, particularly your snacks and the stuff that you're actually going to bring, try and go healthier. Get some vegetables, get some fruit whenever you can. You are probably not going to eat well this weekend, so try and get some good stuff in you as well. That will help in a lot of ways. We were talking about planning your day out a little bit, particularly if you are someone who is not in the marathon running shape that a real conventioner might need to be in. Plan some time where you're going to have an activity, but it's a sit-down activity as opposed to a walking around activity in the middle of the day, so you can take a rest off your feet. It'd be a good option as well. Let's see, there's some other things I want to say. If chafing is an issue for you, plan accordingly. That will be a long and unhappy
Where are we
day.
chafing exactly? Like thighs or
Anywhere.
Okay, any
Anywhere.
chafing. Any chafing.
You just had to go there, didn't you?
I need to know where the chafing is going to occur.
Some people chafe in different places.
Chafing happens,
But
Lessah.
there are products that will make that less of an abrasive issue and will make you happier and will make those around you happier. So, some food for thought there. Let's see,
And
I think
then-
that was everything I wanted to say.
Another thing about if you're going to take snacks or whatever with you, do not take anything that is chocolate based because
It's
that
gonna melt.
will melt,
It's going to melt.
and you don't want that.
Stick to the granola bars or whatever. Something
Homemade
that's
trail mix is
easy grab
great.
and go.
Get some nuts, some raisins. That can be great. Look for food that's I think you put it in here pretty good. Stuff that's like high protein, good healthy energy. If you don't know what that means, go find a nutrition site online and look for hiking food, because you will be hiking. It won't be outdoors, but you will be hiking.
I don't know, man. The convention is not the place to try out new foods.
That's a
Not
fair
true.
point.
Place.
That's a
You
fair
don't want
point.
to ruin
True.
your vacation. Go with the safe choice, something you've already eaten and that you know you can handle.
Yeah. Two other things I wanted to mention. While I'm sure this is not something that most gamers would consider, don't go heavy on the perfume.
Yeah,
Don't
Drac.
overdo it.
Fine, whatever.
There's a couple reasons. One is you don't want, there's people that smell bad because they have not observed the take a shower every day.
Mhm.
Or maybe they need to take more than one shower a day.
There's people that smell bad because they have been sweating.
Yes, those are some people, and sometimes that's just how you are, and that's totally fine. And we understand.
Hygiene.
Please take your
It's a
shower,
thing.
but you don't want to be the person that smells bad because you put on a whole bottle of perfume. And also, there are people that are allergic to that kind of stuff, so be a little considerate about
Yeah.
that. And maybe if you, and this is a personal thing, and if you are a smoker it's fine. I'm not saying don't smoke. If you are able to, you might consider using a less aromatic, less smelly cigarettes if you can.
Just get the electronic one.
Just be
That way.
so I was going to mention on the electronic one. At least in Washington State, they are the same rules apply to e-cigarettes that do to normal cigarettes. So you can't use an e-cigarette indoors. You still have to go 25 feet away in our state from entrances and stuff like that. So, which I didn't think about this before, but before you go, you might check the local laws on things like if you are a smoker.
Yep.
It might be something you should check on because I don't think every state has the 25-foot from the door rule. They may have more, they may have less. The convention may have smoking areas and stuff like that as well. But try to be considerate of others. There's a lot of people there. We don't need to make other people's experience less enjoyable. Anything else on just the general? You're at the convention. Have fun. I mean, that's what you're there for. Enjoy the experience. Take notes for next time. Be a good one.
You ready for me to talk about kids?
Yes.
Because boy, oh boy, I didn't put them in your show notes that you conveniently provided for me.
Should
But I do have a lot of things to
should
say
Drac
about
and I go
kids.
take a break?
No, no, because you might find something that you want to add to my pro tips for children or bringing
First
kids
tip:
with you.
bring a leash so that you don't get lost.
The little monkey backpack leash.
Not the kid.
That's not
so
the
you don't
first.
get lost. No.
Oh, so I don't get lost. Right. Right. So let's talk about age first, and I hope I don't offend anyone, but I don't care because I'm a mom, and
I'm offended,
I've
Lessah. I am
thank
offended.
you, thank you. I have been bringing my kids with me almost since the beginning. I think I've been going to these conventions since 2007. No, 2006 was when I went to my first one, and I think my daughter was 9 whenever she first came with me to her first convention. So, and now she's 16 to put it in a frame of reference for you. So, what age should you think is appropriate for bringing your kids with you to the convention? The biggest rule of thumb here is that if you have events listed for your convention, look at the age limit and look at the amount of events that are listed as being 10 and younger. And what you're going to find is that there is almost nothing. They don't want your children at the convention. There's nothing for them to do. This thing is for you. So this isn't a theme park, basically. It's a convention. This is your time. So keeping that in mind, I see this every year. I see people bring babies to a crowded convention and children under the age of 6. Don't do it. That is my advice. That's the first thing I just need to say. No, just no. Don't do it. Leave. I'll talk about what you should do with those kids in a minute. But I don't see it very many babies and strollers at Gen Con, honestly, but I always see them every year. And whenever I do, these people, they never look happy. They are never smiling. They look miserable. They look depressed. They look like they want to die. And you know why they feel this way? It's because they have brought their babies with them to Gen Con or to the convention or whatever. Don't do it. Don't. No. So, of course, you're exhausted and depressed because you brought your child to an overcrowded gaming convention, right? And what were you thinking? So if you have a baby, you should be broke anyway, in my opinion. You shouldn't have any money. Don't come. So put it off for another year. That's the first thing I have to say. Stay home. A better reason is not to bring your babies to a convention is that these places are crowded houses for bugs. Your kids are going to get sick, and they're going to vomit all over you, and that is going to ruin your fun. Forget it. Now you have to take care of your sick child.
Actually, on that note, did we mention the hand sanitizer yet?
The hand sanitizer? No, I have no.
How did we miss the hand sanitizer?
Soap and water. Wash it. Scrub. You're fine. You don't need hand sanitizer. That's contributes to flesh-eating virus or whatever. You'll be fine. Soap and water. Been using it for centuries. All right. If your kid's under 6, if you bring them, their routine is going to get disrupted, and it's going to make them moody, and they're going to get tired, and they're going to get cranky, and they're going to whine, and it is going to get on your last nerve when all you wanted to do was go to the convention and stock Will Wheaton. I mean, have fun, right? They're going to ruin all that for you. So, my
Who's
last
Will
thing...
Wheaton?
Shut up. Shut up. The last thing I have about having a too young child around is that it's going to up the ante on your stress factor by a lot. So that's why you left home in the first place, right? You didn't leave home and go on vacation so that you could be stressed out. You wanted to have a good time. So don't let your children ruin your fun with surgical precision because they aren't happy, because that is exactly what is going to happen. So let's talk about what you're going to do when you decide that you do want to bring your kids with you. Because here's my philosophy about kids and gaming. We want to do it. We want to bring them with us. Because this is our culture, right? We want to introduce them to this, and we want them to develop a deep-seated love of games so that they'll never have money for drugs, right? So this is where it starts, is that they can get excited about these games whenever you take them to the convention. Just make sure that they are not too young to enjoy it. And Drac, remind me in a minute whenever I talk about events to share a story with you guys, because I have a pretty good story that goes along with that. But so what do you do? What I would do if my kid was too young is I would leave them with a loved one or a grandparent or really anybody that you trust that doesn't have a serious criminal background, right? So it's fine. It's fine. It's 4 days. They probably won't die. So there's also summer camp. It exists. You know, if you're willing to pay for your kid to sit on a plane and make you miserable, then you should be willing to put them on a plane to send them to another state, like to make someone else miserable. So grandparents, summer camp, aunts, uncles, friends. Here's one I like to do. eBay, Craigslist. Here's one I like to do. Bring a babysitter with you. Bring a non-gamer type who isn't really into the con. Is like, what's a con? I don't care about that. Great, you're coming with me. You can watch my kid while I go and have fun. I have a couple of friends who they go to Vegas every year, and while they didn't want to leave their kid at home, so they would bring their babysitter with them, and they would pay for the babysitter to with them, and the babysitter got to go for free. The only catch was that she had to watch the kid. So that's one idea. Let's see. Because honestly, the only vomit that you want to clean off your shoes is your own, right? You don't want to clean kid vomit off your shoes. It's not fun. Trust me.
Just don't give the kids the beer.
Don't give the kids the beer. Or let them eat exotic foods. Or let them take up on candy. Or so let's talk more strategy. This is going to work if your kid is a little older, right? Bring another child or arrange for them to do things with another child who is age appropriate, who's about their same age, to distract them from the fact that you're not doing anything with them, right? Because, and preferably this is a kid that you already have permission to bring, right? So that way they can have a buddy to navigate with, especially if your child is a teenager. I can tell you from experience that they're going to spend most of their time trying to get away from you. So you want to avoid that awkwardness by having another kid with them and their cell phone, and oh my God, make sure their cell phone is charged, because kids are very forgetful, and that way at least you look like you're trying to be a responsible parent.
And if they're my sister, give them an extra battery.
Give them an extra. Here's your extra battery. Put it
I
in
love
your
my
go
sister.
bag.
I really do. I'm just every time I'm with her, my phone's dead. My phone's dead, and my phone's dying. Like,
That Candy Crush ain't gonna play itself.
She charged it last night, and it's still dead.
All right, so you are bringing your age-appropriate kid to the con, eh? Well, let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about events.
You have a story.
Yeah.
I think she's putting the story off. I think.
Oh, the story. Yeah, I do have a story. Let's talk about events. I like to let the kids, if you're going to bring them with you, don't just choose what they're going to do. Make them an active part of that. Let them browse the catalog. Let them figure out the kind of stuff that they want to do. And you can, set aside, hey, look at this, hey, look at that. But let them be a part of that decision-making. That way it gives them a little bit more control, and they know a little bit more about what to expect. Because happy kid, happy con, right? If your kid gets miserable, even for a minute, man, you're gonna know, and they are gonna make you feel it. So, this is one of the little things that it puts something kind of back into their hands, and it will really help with their mental state, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, you want to hear my story, huh? This is about picking an event that is age appropriate. My daughter's first con, we played this game. It was a parent and child game. It was a LARP, because My whole family is a huge fan of LARPing. And it was some kind of zombie game where basically the parents got to play the role of the zombies and the kids were the survivors, and they were trying to escape this building where we had them trapped. Well, it was only for children who were ages 11 and younger. But they didn't want anyone there that was under the age of 6. Well, the first thing that happened when we got there was that there was this poor new dad who was very excited about introducing his child to the gaming community, but the kid is only like 22 months old. So the first thing, what do you think happened to this kid as soon as we started playing this game?
Pretty sure the kid got terrified.
He got run over, and he was terrified. And the poor guy, he had to take he had to take the baby out. No, age appropriate.
Now that poor kid's scarred for life.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, God bless your children. But the younger they are, the more they're going to drag you down, right? So you have to remember that. So let's talk kid strategy. I don't know if it's in every convention, but I can use Gen Con as my go-to example. There are events that are for younger children, and they're right in the middle of the big convention hall. So this is what I did one year, because it was just me and my daughter. And I scheduled her for back-to-back events that was specifically for young children. And we affectionately referred to this as going to kid jail. I dropped her off at kid jail. I went into my event, and then I came back to get her because her event was now 4 hours long. It was great. What? I can see you judging me. I can see you judging me. She hardly even noticed because they kept the kids busy. They were making little bug monsters, and then they did tabletop. They did like tabletop for kids. It was really cool. So, but that doesn't work. I'm telling you, that doesn't work a second time. If your kid is pretty sharp and with it, that's not going to work a second time. My daughter would not. She refused to go back to kid jail. Next time, she's like, "Okay, this was fun for the one time I did it, but it's not happening again." So, or you can drop your kid off at the game, and then you can go and do whatever it is you have to do, and come back at the time that the game is over, because you know exactly where your kid is, and your kid still has a cell phone, and they have their buddy, and everything is all good. So here's my other thing for strategy for keeping your kids happy. Snacks, drinks, television. Doesn't have to be in that order, but you need those 3 super important things, because a convention is not the time to instill discipline or good habits. This is the time to placate them and distract them from what's really going on, right? You playing with miniatures and other stuff. So if they always have something to do, they're not going to bug you as much. It's going to be really great. So remember that. Snacks, drinks, television. Super easy. You can keep them busy for at least half a day with that. So here's the other thing, because your kid is going to actually want to spend a little bit of time with you. You need to block off at least half a day with nothing in your schedule, where you let the kid take the lead. Basically, they get to look around, they get to wander, and they get to look at whatever they want. They get to demo whatever they want. Just take it easy. Be really relaxed about it. Hey, what do you want to do next? Hey, where do you want to eat? This is it. This is their time. And I guarantee that is probably going to be your best day at the convention, because your kid's going to be so chill after that. Happy kid, happy con, right? So
quality time is
quality time. This is
time, that's what kids are really want time. Is quality time.
Yeah, depending on how old they are.
Yeah.
You gotta get them in the right. Gotta get in the right spot. Let's see. Okay. let's talk about supervision. No parent really needs to be told this, but you need to know where your child is and what they are doing at all times if they are below the age of 18. Why? Because if they get in trouble, you're the responsible party that's going to be taking the fall for whatever it is they did. And that is going to do what? That's going to ruin your fun. And we don't want to ruin your fun, right?
Can I add know who they are with into that
yeah,
list
know
too?
who they're with. Yes. Conversely, if your child were to get hurt, it's going to make you look like a really crappy parent. So you need to keep that in mind. Just because you're at a convention, you can't stop being a parent. So that's why I say if you're not willing to take command and control of your child, then you should not bring them with you. So let's do a real quick word of caution about events. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have something to add?
Nope.
I heard you take a breath. Okay, sorry. Anyway, let's do a word of caution about events. If the game says this event is for ages 18 and older, it says that for a reason. So if you aren't comfortable with mature themes around your kid, you need to read that fine print. This year, I'll give you an example. My daughter was really frustrated because she couldn't do half of the events that she was interested in because of the age requirement. If I was going to be there with her, then I would have been fine with it. I would have been like, well, 18. This is a game with a description that's obviously it's going to be okay, but if I'm not doing the game with her, forget it. No, you need to choose something else. But because this year she's doing, she's 16 going on 17, but she's doing games with one of her friends. So if I said, no, all of your stuff needs to be within your age range. So.
Can I jump in real quick on that note?
Sure,
too?
sure.
If you're at the convention already and you're kind of wandering around and you see something that that looks interesting, there's an age range on it, you can generally have a conversation if they're free and available to do that. You can generally go to one of the moderators or there and have a conversation with them and say, hey, it says it's 18, my kid's 16. What kind of thing is this? Why is it 18?
Yeah.
My kid doesn't have a problem with gore, is really into gory movies or whatever. Just as an example, do you think that would be appropriate? You might be able to get some feedback from the people that are running the station that might give you a little bit more of an insight of, my kid's a little bit younger than the age range, but I think this will be okay for them. And you might also ask them, is this something that we can exit early if it becomes not appropriate?
You're locked in this room.
There are some things
That's
where
it.
that is true.
That's it. All right, so let's sum this up really quick for everyone. Number one, when you're thinking about bringing your child to a convention, the first thing you should do is try to get out of it. Don't do it. Number two, if you fail to get out of it, develop specific strategies to placate your child in order to accommodate your fun. That's it. That's my summary. What do you think?
Good. I was going to ask, do you have an age range, or you say there's an age where it's appropriate to let the kids wander without direct parental supervision?
They're going to want to do it like as soon as you get there. Doesn't matter what age they are. They're going to want to go, let me go and wander. No. You don't get to go and wander around, especially not alone. They need to be with someone. Even when it was so frustrating for my daughters. I'm a super over-controlling parent. Whenever we went when she was 13, I wouldn't let her do it. I swapped off with another mom. I was like, okay, I'm going to be with the kids from this time to this time, and then we just kind of traded off. And this was me watching, their kid who was also 13, and I think that year I also had another. I had a clinger. I had a 12-year-old. I don't know where he came from, but apparently if people figure out that you're watching kids, man, they just start dumping on you. You're watching the kids. You take mine.
$20 an hour.
Yeah.
I should show up to a convention with a sign that says, "I'll watch kids, $20 an hour."
So you have to be really careful about that because that's your child and you can't replace them. So this year she's 16. There's no way I'm gonna there's just no way I'm gonna be able to hold her back from she literally has her own schedule and she has her best friend that's gonna be doing events with her. So my biggest worry is that I won't get to see her as much as I want to. So
It's coming from the person like, don't bring your kid, don't bring your kid.
don't bring your kid, don't bring your kid, don't do it unless you are willing to put in the time and effort because they'll ruin everything, especially if they're too young, they'll ruin everything. And then it'll ruin your experience and you won't want to go back and just be ready to continue being a parent while you are at the convention and just remember that your kid wants to have fun too. I think our most fun day was when we went through, and this was last year, this was when she was 15, our most fun day was when we just wandered around the convention and we were looking for Minecraft stuff. And she was looking specifically for a torch for her wall. So, and it...
Did you find it?
Oh yeah, we found all kinds of stuff. We found even more stuff that she was interested in, but we were really just there to get the torch. So, but
yeah, I think your advice. I don't have kids, but I have two much younger sisters. One is 18, one is 8. So
wow. Yeah,
I'm the protective brother, which is possibly almost worse than some parents for that kind of thing.
Yeah, both those ages are bad to bring with you for completely different reasons.
Yeah, right. Well, I would say, don't let a kid wander alone. Maybe they don't have direct parental supervision, but the buddy system is a really good thing. And I would say if you're going to do that, it should, look, it's your kid. You know your kids better than we do, obviously. But my recommendation is, okay, you're going to wander without adult supervision with your buddy. You stay together. You don't let each other out of your sight. Set the ground rules early. Like, we're going to meet here at this time. Right? Like, have a meeting place, have a time, make sure that they're aware of that and are looking at the rules. We've got technology now. Send them a text message. Say, hey, how's it going? Where are you? What are you doing? Are you having fun?
Yeah, try to be subtle about it.
Just check in and see how things are going. You have that opportunity. Do that. Maybe have while they're having that time, set a quick meetup point. Say, hey, let's. I just want to check in with you. Where do you think where are you gonna be at this time? Let's it can be short, 5 minutes. You can just check in, see how things are going.
Yeah.
I think that
especially if it's late at night.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to let my daughter walk with another kid through the convention center back to the hotel by themselves.
Absolutely, if they're going outside the premises, outside at night, and it's no.
No, it's rape o'clock. Sorry, you're not going by
and
yourself.
Especially if, and I don't like that we have to make this distinction, but if your kids are girls, there's other things you probably need to. Not that there's not things to think about with boys, but there's other things you need to be concerned about. And I hate having to make that distinction, but it's there. We want them to be safe. That's a big thing. The other thing I wanted to mention here is do a trial run with your kids too. They're a younger, particularly if the kid's younger, around that 6 age range. There's a lot of small conventions. You might have to get to a bigger city than where you live, but you don't have to get on a plane to go to a convention. And even the mall is essentially can kind of be a trial run. Right? Like it's a crowded area with things to look at and stores to go in and whatnot. So don't be afraid to do a trial run. Maybe you start at the mall and then there's a small gaming convention that isn't in the big news, but you can go to and take your kid to and see how they do. Is it interesting to them, or do they like, go to a convention that's interesting, take them to a convention that's interesting for them? If your kids never played a board game, don't take them to Gen Con. That's a bad idea. It might work great, but I wouldn't recommend it. And I'd also say debrief afterwards, or even during. What did you think about that game you tried? What did you like? Not only does it show like you're giving an interest in what they were doing, and but it can be a teaching moment where they can think critically about things. It can be, hey, they liked the game. Christmas present, maybe? Right? Like, you can get some parental information out of them, too, and have some engagement going on. So, Drac, do you have anything to add for kids?
My kids.
Not really, since I don't have any. But I know my friend, this, I do believe, is the first year he's going to be taking both of his kids with him. And
Bless his heart.
he goes by I'm pretty sure they have to be 10 before they can go. Is his cutoff year.
That's a great rule.
And this year is going to be, he's going to have both of his kids. And I think I'm going to say they're 10 and 12 maybe. So it's going to be interesting for him this year. I'll have to check in on him every once in a while and see if he's surviving.
Yeah, I would say in general to set some rules early on so that you don't get surprised by. I mean, you're going to get surprised by things, and you might have to make new rules. But set the ground rules for the kids early on. Like it can be the price of admission, and I would say that rewards are not always a great parenting mechanism, but they work great at conventions.
Yeah, it's like I said, convention is not the time to be a good, responsible parent and instill awesome habits in your child. This is the time to throw money at the problem and make it go away. There you go. You want to have fun or not?
Yep. And you can make rules fun too. So
rules can be fun. Do this, or I will kill you.
I've heard of people too. You're talking about when you're doing the schedules and having them involved. I've heard about people like having their kids involved with making the list of rules for stuff like this.
Oh, that's very good.
And generally, the feedback I've heard about from people that have done that, when I say people, I mean like I've read articles or stuff like that. But the kids have actually put in, like, the kids are generally smarter than we give them credit for. They know what the rules should be. You don't wander off with strangers. No, be hunt. So there's an opportunity there to have some time with kid. I want to talk a little bit about swag. I was hoping to have Jerry here. However, he had an opportunity to do some stuff with his kid. And we support kids and family here on DDOCast. I think that was pretty evident in the last one. But, we support age-appropriate activities with kids.
Age-appropriate.
But, so I want to talk briefly about getting swag. What are some tips you guys have for getting that coveted swag?
This is all you, Drac.
Well, gee, thanks.
I don't get swag.
Thanks for that. The big thing is, if you know for sure there's going to be one, usually at most conventions, there is one or two, the item to get. It can vary from what it is, but usually there's one booth that has something amazing they're giving away. And most of the time, it's limited to X amount of them per day. So if you know for sure that this booth is going to have this item, but they only have so many of them, plan that and get there and be ready to stand in line for it. I think that's the biggest thing I can think of on swag. I know a couple years ago at Gen Con, I can't even remember what it was now, but Wizards of the Coast was giving something away at their booth, and the line stretched outside of the dealer hall. You were standing in the lobby just to get in line to get whatever they were giving away. So be prepared for lines and just plan accordingly, I would say, is my biggest tip for the swag. And it's a lot of booths will give you stuff for free. Sometimes you have to ask for it. So as you were just chatting with the friendly people that are at the booths, just, mention, hey, do you have any giveaways or do you have anything that you're handing out today? And most of them will hand you something. Sometimes they just have it there on a table with a sign, whatever. It's just free, take one, or feel free
This
to
is
take
where your
this.
cute kid would come in really handy
Yes,
because
exactly.
kids get all kinds of free stuff. All kinds of stuff offered to them. My daughter demoed a game that she really enjoyed, and we ended up buying it. It was some kind of duck. Like there were these rubber ducks in a pond, and you had to like knock the other ducks out of the pond. Like it was very strategic actually. And then she not only bought the game, but she took the game back the next day, and she was like, with her giant eyes or giant anime eyes blinking at the creator of the game, going, "Will you sign this for me?" And he just rolled over and did it, and then handed her another couple of ducks. Here you go. Here's some free ducks. And they were like designer ducks. One was a Batman duck. One was a Superman duck. And they're just all kinds of different. There was a ninja duck.
Probably made her day.
Yeah, it did actually.
Before we get too far away, I actually want to jump in real quick on the kid thing. Another thing a fun thing you can do with your kids, it can be a little bit of a game for them, is I mentioned the envelope budgeting thing before. This can be a great opportunity to teach your kids how to budget. And you can use the same envelope trick and say, here's your budget money. You may not want to actually put them like in their hands, but you can have that conversation with them and have it can be a really fantastic opportunity to have that life lesson of this is your budget. Okay, this is how much you have left. Is this what you want to spend it on? So I just want to throw that out there before I forgot. Anything else on swag?
One more thing, too, is don't overlook, again, I'm just coming from the aspect of Gen Con because that's really all I know. There is inside the bag that you get from Gen Con, there's usually a little coupon book. Make sure you look for something like that in the bag that you get from your convention because a lot of the times there'll be coupons you can rip out of there and it'll say, if you bring this coupon to our booth at number whatever it is, you'll get something free or you'll get a discount on something. A lot of the times they'll give you something for free, but you actually have to take the coupon.
You have to have the coupon and you have to show up.
Yes.
I'm just learning so much about Drac right now. Like he is a coupon cutter, dude. I don't even look in that bag. Like, swag, thanks, whatever. I'm not.
Thanks for my stuff.
That's why I don't do swag because I'm not going to look at it ever again.
I use my swag shirts for
I'm
work
going to come
shirts.
home and forget it. No more. I'm not going to think about this swag. It's gone.
Actually, I do keep the DDO one separate so I can wear them for the cast, but I have because I work in manual labor and I have a pile of shirts. I don't think I've paid for any of them. Maybe one or two that. Now I work crew for outs and stuff, so I sometimes get T-shirts and stuff. But so I wanted to let's go around the horn real quick because we're talking about this for a long time. Let's go around the horn real quick. Just kind of closing tips for conventions, and we'll move on to game news. Drac, why don't you start?
I would say just remember, and I know it's silly to have to say this, but remember hygiene. Hygiene is the big thing to remember, I think. Because as we said earlier, there is a lot of people cramped together in a small space, and it will become an issue. And just have fun. That's what we're all there for, really, is just to have fun.
Yeah, that's my biggest piece of advice also. Relax. Keep an open mind, go with the flow, because it is just easy to click over into meltdown mode if something goes pear-shaped. Just keep your chill running. That's my biggest advice, and then you'll be a lot better off for it at the end if you. What is it? Just keep your expectations nice and low. That way you don't get disappointed. Right?
I'd say one. take care of yourself, because that will make your experience more pleasant. And because I'm the host and can do it, my second closing tip is generally my experience with conventions is there's really like 2 to 5 booths at the convention that like they're the new thing and that's where everyone's going to go and the lines are going to be really long. I go to the other booths. My philosophy is most of the stuff is going to be, particularly most of the stuff is going to be out. And if you want to demo it, you can probably pop into a game store when it's coming out and demo it there, and see if you want to buy it then. But there's a lot of booths that you would never know about this game or unless you went at the booth there. So look in the corners. I hate standing in lines. That's just kind of how I am. I would rather spend that hour I could spend standing in line for one game to go and find 5 other booths that have games that I've never heard of and try those. So that's my advice. The big long lines are always for the ones that are everyone already knows about them. They just want to go and try them before they come out. And if you already know you're going to buy it, my personal opinion is you're probably wasting your time. You know you're going to buy it. Why do you need to demo it? So go find some other fun stuff. There's lots of cool stuff at the convention. With that, we're going to talk about game news on DDO. We're going to get a little more DDO specific, but do have fun at conventions. They can be a lot of fun. And just don't forget about the small conventions too. There's small ones all around Seattle as well. So have fun. Be safe. Take your kids if they're appropriate. Game news for DDO, for realsies. There are new third quarter wallpapers out. We'll link to that in the show notes. You can get... dang it. I just remembered something I forgot to mention, but it's not important. Phone closures. On Monday, July 13th and Thursday, July 16th, the phones will be closing at 5 o'clock Eastern Time for training classes. On Tuesday and July 21st and Thursday, July 23rd, phones will be closed for company meetings and training. And then, now let's talk about the fun stuff. Upcoming XP changes. Several in posted. Based on player feedback, they're implementing some experience changes. First, the flawless bonus to experience now only counts your character's deaths instead of the entire party. This means that when I die, Lessah will not lose any XP.
I love that.
Unless Lessah also dies.
Oh, I don't love that. But still,
yeah,
that's cool.
Henchman deaths no longer reduce the flawless XP penalty. And there was much rejoicing. There is now an NPC in the Hall of Heroes that will suppress your bravery streak and associated bonuses. While suppressed, you can go off and do content on lower difficulties without ruining your streak. This allows you to group with friends, or join pickup groups, or even do new content on lower difficulty settings without ruining your bravery streak. Note that while suppressed, bravery streaks are not ended, but you don't get associated bravery bonuses. This is an individual toggle, so it's just you. And there's also said that there are technical reasons for the bravery suppression to be tied to an NPC. However, there were concerns about convenience. Those brought up with the team. They are planning to also add the NPC to guild airships, ideally on the top deck next to the buff device. They are also looking at adding some special events as DDO bonus days. The first is they're working on additional bonus days that will award a percentage bonus on completion XP for each additional person in your dungeon group. That will not affect raids. They're also looking at doing another event that will not affect dungeons, but will affect raids in the same manner. Some other comments they had, the current death penalty was supposed to reward a party for not dying, but from the feedback received, it ended up being more of a disincentive to group than a reward for helping people through the quest. They don't expect these changes to be a silver bullet to encourage everyone to start grouping. They're just meant to be quality of life fixing to reduce some of the pain points of the XP system with respect to grouping. And they have run across players that enjoy the game but are tentative to participate in a group knowing their mistake hurt the XP of other party members. Let's see. Cordovan also chimed in on some questions. tying the group bonus to an event gives the ability to monitor and moderate the bonus, but they think people will dig it. Part of this change allows us to have some nice raid, quote, raid weekends. It's a good bonus and system to have. Having it on an event also gives us a bit more wiggle room on the amount of the bonus. If they were to see dramatic changes in grouping behavior, it's clearly something they'd look at. The hope is that these changes have a beneficial impact and address some long-standing concerns raised by near everyone over the years, and someone pointed out, including on Mournlands. This will not be the first deployment, not be on the first deployment to Lemania, but the hope is to get some of the changes out for public preview soon-ish. So, what do you guys think?
I'm
Jack
just
doesn't
really
have any thoughts.
well, not really, but I do. Well, because everybody knows I'm not a big. I'm still in like my first life, of course. So a lot of this doesn't affect me, but I'm just now starting on the Warlock that I created on Kenneth. I'm actually starting to play with like a bravery streak thing, just to see. I just decided maybe I would challenge myself and try to do everything on Elite if I could to see how far I could get on a bravery streak. And I was shocked that they didn't have the option to turn that temporarily off previously. I mean, I guess I understand why they didn't, but that just seems like something they would have already given the option to. So I think it's exciting to actually give that option now.
I think when the Bravery Sheet was created, the reason why it was created was because people weren't running things on harder difficulties. They were just running things on. It was a reaction to everyone running things on normal quickly as and repetitively as a higher method for getting or better method for getting XP. There was also an issue where it was kind of the same thing, the same time as the Quest XP Ransack thing came out, because previously, as you reran quests, it just had a permanent counter that would continually reduce your XP. So what people would do they'd run it a bunch of times on normal until that bonus was too much of a pain point. So it was intended to encourage people to run on harder difficulties, which I think was a resounding success because people want to run Elite a lot more now than when they used to. But as with the death penalty, you see, I'm even calling it a penalty. It was intended to be a bonus, but because it involves XP, and it, generally speaking, wasn't too hard to get, people started thinking of it as a penalty to not do that, which was the problem. Lessah, do you have thoughts on this?
I'm a little confused. I thought it didn't hurt your streak if you were doing something that was below your level.
Well, this is lower difficulty, so not Elite.
Yeah.
So if you were running something that would normally be eligible for Bravery Streak, but you wanted to run a lower difficulty, you can do that now.
Okay.
Without ruining your streak. You could do it before, just break your streak.
So Lessah, is this going to change the way that maybe permadeath is played, or not?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, not at all. We just sit back and go, okay, cool.
I think that my quick thoughts on it, the flawless bonus, I think that's only going to be more XP, which I don't understand why anyone would really have a problem with. And I don't see how it discourages grouping at all. It only encourages grouping, in my opinion. So I don't have any problems there. I think getting rid of henchmen, if the hirelings worked better, consistently better, I wouldn't have a problem with them having an XP penalty, but they're pretty easy to get killed. So I don't have any problems there. As far as the bravery streak suppression, I think the best part about that is in terms of raids. And I know I've been kind of a proponent of the raiding scene needing some help. And I think that's where Bravery Streak really breaks down because people don't want to run the raids on Elite because there's not really a great incentive to other than maybe the Bravery Streak, and even then the XP is not very great generally. So they just don't run them. They don't run the raids at all. So I think that's going to be good. I don't really have a problem with or strong opinion one way or the other for the bonus days as far as dungeon XP getting boosted. I don't think it's going to change how I play because I generally have been grouping anyways. I might get more people in my groups, but as far as the raid one goes, though, like I don't run raids for XP, so I really, unless that bonus is just astronomically huge, I don't see that being a very popular bonus days personally. And with that, we'll move on to update 27. Is on Lemania now. The release notes are, there's not a whole lot going on. There's going to be 3 new quests. With the update, will be the Trial of Archons. It'll be in Shavrath and off of Amrath. There will also be a raid, which is not yet available. Heroic versions will be level 13. Epic quests will be level 30. Other notes worth mentioning: the Guild Airship Tavern regeneration will allow players to swap and select spells and rejuvenate clickies. I think that's for. I'm not sure if that's just specifically in the tavern or if that's the entire ship. Not entirely positive on that. Regarding the store, the long-lasting ability score potions will now be bound to account, which is nice because they always give them away for the freebies, and I always end up putting them on someone that doesn't actually need them, which is whoever's on at the time. Let's see. The top renowned guild tier color will now be purplish instead of red, which is not actually true on the mining yet, but that's what's going to happen. This is the coloration of the guild name. Let's see. There's some improvements to hirelings. They renamed the Hall of Heroes Champion Hunter to Monster Hunter. Let's see. It's kind of the main stuff. There's some other things that are less. They're not really big ticket items, so I want to kind of skip them. Any thoughts on update 27, guys?
I'm kind of interesting to see how well the hirelings don't go brain dead anymore.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
That's because that was
and
one of my
the stand
big
your
complaints.
ground, the stand your ground command hopefully works the way it's supposed to. It's not the hirelings' fault. If you're close enough to them that they sense that you are in trouble or that you need their help, they're gonna want to try, and they're trying to go find you. They're trying to help you, even though you told them to stay there.
If you really
just
want them to stay
help.
there, click them to passive too.
Yeah, exactly. You have to get a little bit more finite in your hireling control. You can't expect them to be completely sentient because, as we all know, if they became completely sentient, they would automatically try to kill us. So we can't have that. So you got to put them in passive mode if you're going to do that. So I'm going to try this out to see if the stand your ground command works any better than it used to. And does anybody else, when you're running around in the public area, if you see somebody with a red name, a red guild name over their head, it freaks me out.
Yeah, it does.
I think, oh my God,
does.
it's a name! No.
Yeah.
Do you think back to the invasion of the marketplace?
Yes. Exactly.
All right, bonus days for the weekend. Through July 12th, you can get plus 20% on Heroic XP, plus 5% on VIP XP, as well as the Crystal Cove is still running through July 12th. I'm sure Lessah has been thoroughly enjoying that. I know Draculetta got dragged in there by the damsels as well.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? And Pine Leaf Needles.
Yep.
The killing duo of Lessah and Pine Leaf Needles. Like, come on, Pine Leaf, we got stuff to do. Let's go. Let's go. Like the whole time. I had the best time bossing him around. And I am not even close to being done with the cove. As soon as we're done here, I'm probably going to go. I've been on Galanda trying to farm out the ingredients that I need.
I
so.
haven't even gone in this year. This time around.
It is not opening very often.
There's not anything I'm really looking
that.
for. And to be honest, I've only played like 3 hours this week. So.
Oh.
And an hour of that was DDOCast Plat. Store news. Plus 6 tomes are now permanently available. Sales this week, 20% off of Slayer Count Boost, Shared Bank Platinum, and Bank Deposit Box upgrades, and 20% off of Jewels of Fortune. These summer sales for the week. You can get 35% off of Favored Soul, 75% off of Omni Dust and Stones, 50% off of Colossal Ingredient Bags, and 50% off of a Greater Tome of Heroic Learning. The freebie for the week, 25% crafting success boosters times 25 with the code CRFT8. You can get one per account. Community news, the DDO 150th Chronicle. John Welch wrote about the monk. City has a new blog for DDO. Welcome to the club. House of Grouse blogged about DDO as well. We got a shout out for our summer scavenger hunt extravaganza. The Halfling Summer Games are still going on Kyber on Fridays. And the Highlanders of Malkir are hosting Tuesday Night Abbot Fest all summer long. The guild for the week, Tis But a Flesh Wound, is an Arganesson-based guild that is quickly growing due to dedicated players.
That's a great name, too.
That's a pretty good name. Comment for the week, what is a little-known Evening Star superstition? Let's say that it's unlucky to find 3 or more Purple Dragon Knights in a group.
Really?
Well, because that means there's trouble around.
Oh, right.
Anyone else got an answer?
I was trying to think of one, and I couldn't think of anything good. That's a hard question this
It's
time.
kind of a weird question. Might need to send Jerry some better. If you have an idea for the comment, send Jerry a PM on the forums and give him ideas for the comments. Because trust me, coming up with something every week for 150 weeks, that's a lot of work. He's probably reused a few at this point too, I'm sure. Videos, Alistane, the Bard, launched a new video show, which is Notes to Strike a Chord. Ilarvin has taken on the Demon Queen with a Warlock, and the Shitty Rogues tackled Tangaroot, so you can watch them. Fansite news, Ginger Spice is launching a new video series about the Warlock. He's getting his 3 Warlock lives for his completionist. You can check out there. DDOCast got a shout out for our episode with Samus Grobo last week. We answered a couple of questions from listeners. DDO Players News had their 40th episode on Crystal Cove and more. Damsel DDO underwent crucible therapy. DDO Gamer explained how to get 112 haggle, and Tactilicious and Craftilicious wants to know why Epic Elite. And Enrique wanted to know more about the Mudwallow Ogres. You can check all that stuff out through the Chronicle. And that's pretty much all there. Let's see. Oh, they also put on, if you want to live stream the DDO, make sure to get in touch with them on Twitch so that they can promote your show. Some blogs I wanted to highlight this week. DDO Gamer had a battle of the character planners. He looked at Ron's character planner and character builder Light. It was a good read. He also had his Fae Buckler build, so if you're thinking about doing a Warlock melee kind of style build, that's a good read there. Perhaps one of my favorite blogs in recent memory was Geek Mom, Confessions of a Geek Mom, teaching kids MMOs instead of ABCs. It was a fun read about her experience with her daughter and getting her into DDO. Dan Kimber talking about House C challenge weapons, part due in response to our DDOcast episode on challenges a few weeks back. I also wanted to mention Axel DDO had a video about the upcoming XP changes, if you want to hear his thoughts as well. DDOcast news, DDOcast Splat is still happening on Tuesdays. It's probably going to be a general time. If you don't hear something otherwise, we're going to be Tuesdays at 5 o'clock Pacific time from here on out, I think, until I change it again. The Summer Scavenger Extravaganza is also still going on. Some people have been giving me some stuff already, and they're having a lot of fun. Lots of great prizes. If you're looking for some points, I've got a lot of points to give away, got a lot of prizes to give away. I'm making an effort to clean out what's left of my cache that I can't seem to give away all of the stuff from. But it's a good time, and you will be surprised to find how many waterfalls there are in this game. Also thrones. I'm finding quite a few of those. So do get that in. There are a few things that require going to Lemania, which is now with update 27, so that might be an opportunity to get some of those in as well. You also, just a reminder, have until update 27 hits live, and since it's Lemania, that means time is coming up. Other general gaming news, Gen Con will be July 30th through August 2nd. I think you might be able to find Lessah and or Draculetta there.
You might be able to find us together.
Yeah.
Same location.
Rumor has it. That's right.
Yeah.
Rumor has it.
PAX Prime will also be August 28th through 31st. I will almost certainly put together some sort of thing in a bar somewhere but I have not gotten around to that and probably won't for a couple weeks, but there will probably be something. Lightning post for the week. Nothing really other than we're going to have a survey question here. DDO Dude asked if you could craft the perfect item, what would be on it and why?
This is all you, Lessah. It's all you. Go.
Just one? I only get one? Okay, it's going to be... I already have it. It's going to be a weapon, and it's going to be a khopesh, and the base metal is going to be cold iron, and I'm going to craft as high as I can tendon slice on it, and I'm going to put keen on it so it crits better, and it has a red augment slot so that I can also put something else in there cool, like silver or something like that. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to destroy everything. The end. What?
Fine.
He's just like, whatever.
Drac, do you
I'm
have
using it now.
a
Level
perfect
23
item?
paladin.
No, I don't craft. I know Lessah's sad to hear that, but I don't craft.
It makes me cry. I'm crying right now.
I think for my answer
Your
for
lack of
today, since I've been running a druid on DDOCast and my current primary character in rotation is is a druid as well, more or less the same build. Something hide armor. Oh my gosh. Medium armor that a druid can wear. I'm just going to stop there because if there's anything on it, it would be better than what I can find right now. So with that, Draculetta, why don't you plug players' news and other such fun things?
We can be found at DDOplayers.com. We have our weekly live show, which is Monday nights at 8:30. You can find that at DDOplayers.com/live. You can find us on Twitter at DDOplayers. And if you would want to follow me, I am at Draculetta_72 on Twitter.
Lessah?
Oh boy, I do a lot of stuff in the DDO community. I'm on a podcast right now. I can't even list it all. Patrick, don't even know what I'm talking about. All right, you can find me at DDOCocktailHour.com or damselsofddo.com. I am part of the DDO live stream team with the Damsels. You can catch us every other Tuesday at 2. Okay, it's really Wednesday at 2 a.m., but it's really every other Tuesday at 11 p.m. Pacific time on the DDO Twitch channel, where we do some different things. Sometimes we're wolves, sometimes we're epics. This summer we're focusing mostly on epic stuff. The best thing to do is follow me on Twitter. I'm at Lessah at Twitter, because that way you know exactly what I'm doing. I'm not always in the same place.
And don't forget that Lessah has a contractual obligation to do a cocktail hour show if you send her email.
That's true.
Assuming she checks it.
I have one now. I'm waiting, but this last week the scheduling just wasn't there with Samus and I, and then the week before that was my 10th wedding anniversary, so I skipped the show. So
And his birthday.
Yeah, it was Aunt Samus's birthday. So
Mari wanted to mention from the chat that Minion Monday will be visiting Lemania this Monday for some extra special fun stuff there. And that is 4 p.m. Eastern Time on the DDO Twitch as well. So thank you very much, Lessah and Drac, for joining us. And thanks especially for great tips on surviving conventions. Thanks for listening to the show, and thanks to our other contributors for DDOcast. And thanks to Turbine and Wizards for letting DDO happen. We really enjoy the game. And thanks to Cyberbears for hosting the podcast. You can hit us up at DDOcast.com for show notes, our calendar, previous shows, swag, and other fun stuff. If you want to be part of the show or just say hi, you can email us at ddocast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media and follow us for latest cast updates. The closing tip for the week: remember to stretch, which can be a good tip for if you're playing at your computer or if you're walking around a convention for a whole day. So until next time, may all your attack rolls be crits, all your chests level appropriate, have fun, and don't forget to plan ahead for those conventions. And please shower.